I see two things with what you're saying. Number one is, these kids who don't speak English, most of them are not alone. This Hispanic culture has grandma living there and others who are there to take care of the kids. If mom and dad have to leave, they have support. And number two, immersion is the best way to learn a language. And my husband as an ESL, you know, people ask them all the time, well, how do you teach all those different languages? Do you speak all those languages to teach them English? Well, no, I'm speaking English. That's what they're supposed to be learning. And people don't understand that's how you learn a language, is by being forced to learn that language.
Is there much data about how well kids are doing now that grow up in Hispanic homes where the parents do not speak any English? Not only do they not, they can't. They don't know. They're not even trying to learn.
Right.
And how by teenage years, how well they are at English. Every teenager I have met that has grown up in a Spanish-only home speaks English with no accent, totally fluently.
Because not only are they teaching English, not only are they speaking English at school, they're having to translate for their parents everywhere they go. This is not a problem.
We just know that the data that hits us is, well, but the dropout rate is double among Hispanic teenagers. Well, there are a whole lot of other variables that could be. You know, it's not
the preschool.
Yeah. Right.
Let's not say from when they're 4.
It's like the philosophy is if we get them started early enough, all these problems start because we don't start early enough trying to keep them from it. And all these problems start later because they start too early.
You can only lose what you refuse to let go.
Well, how do you,
Say that again.
You can only lose what you refuse to let go.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're giving it up.
Yeah.
Well, that and
true.
When I mean that's just a principle of life. When you
then I'm writing it on the board.
You
said that P word.
I mean, if you think about it, parenting, you try to hold your kid, pull your kid in, not let go. Finding Nemo was like the ultimate example of that principle, was it not?
Right.
You can only lose what you refuse to let go. When he let go, he got what he wanted. And that's...
It's called agency or something like that.
Something like that.
My big thought about this is how pervasive the thought is everywhere, that the earlier we do with education. And I hear from so many well-educated, well-informed, inspired moms, well, my kid needs this and this and this and this, that I just don't think that kids that age need. My kid needs more structure. You know, I hear that all the time. My kid needs more structure. My kid needs more social interaction. All these arguments that are so... In fact, the other day I was just talking to a close friend about preschool pros and cons, because she's in that situation herself, and she said, well, what's your pros and cons of Joy School versus preschool? I said, that's not a question for me. If it wasn't Joy School, it would be nothing as far as school. I mean, I choose Joy School because of the pros of Joy School. But if anything, Joy School's too structured for me. And she said, Joy School too structured? I said, I go with Joy School because for me those pros outweigh the cons, and there's so much good out of it. But I'm never completely there because I have concerns about too much structure, and I'm always hesitant, and she agreed with me on this one, always hesitant about how many hours are my kids going to be somewhere that I'm not. And if they're going to be somewhere that I'm not, it better be a really good purpose. Not that I'm perfect, but I'm mom. And so, and she agreed with me on that one, but I think a lot of people don't even think that oh, what difference does it make? This is a good school, a good teacher, but it's not mom.
And it's all day, and I can get a job sooner, and it's just,
it's
so pervasive, not just in legislation, but just everywhere with the moms.
I always look at the question that just kills me is, who are your kids being socialized by? Other kids who don't have any idea what they're doing. And so they're beating on each other, and they're screaming at each other, and grabbing toys from each other, instead of being at home where there's a smaller group and a mom can be directly involved in helping.
And 4 older
Teach them
siblings to
real-
say, share.
Yeah, real socialization and
Real,
not with
yeah.
a crowd of
The new
three-year-olds.
thread.
Nicolene Peck said something to the effect of a school is a breeding ground for bullying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're trying to like stop
Yeah.
bullying,
Yeah.
and yet being a school is like missing something.
One of the
Yeah.
new philosophical threats that's popping up is, and you've probably seen it in the paper, is early numeracy skills. Okay, we were pushing the early literacy has to happen. Now we're worried because we want to go into these
Math and
STEM
science.
careers. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've got to have early math.
So now we're gonna really kill.
So we're going to
math.
take kids to school and we're going to teach them with measuring cups and measuring spoons. We're going to make cookies at school
Yeah.
to reproduce, the quantity and volume and size concepts that they would be
That they
learning at
can't do
home
at home.
when they would make the cookies with their mom, and have the emotional connection that the brain turns on better when there's a real emotional connection. That's when it switches on. Instead of being away from home making cookies when they wish they were making cookies with mom. They're not going to learn those early numeracy skills, but it is big. That is really going to push it over the edge, I think. And all the early concepts that children need to learn. And I've got a wonderful evaluation that we used to do when I
For
was in school.
trust.
Yeah.
How do you learn that in a room full
Yeah.
of 30 other 5-year-olds?
Yeah. And who
Or
cares?
3-year-olds?
Yeah.
They just need someone to trust.
And who cares about what the teacher's saying when they're feeling sad inside? Who cares about, So, but I've got a wonderful, there's an evaluation called the Bracken Test of Basic Concepts. And it lists direction terms like inside, outside, upside down. That was an old Dr. Seuss book. All of those things. And, big and small and lesser and greater and all of those things. And it's 2 pages of about 10 different categories. I tried to teach those concepts in a classroom, and I spent the whole time going, I need to be home doing this with these kids. That's where I could really teach these concepts, especially if I was their mom. It'd be so easy to teach that. But those are the early numeracy concepts that they're going to try to be doing in the schools. So.
And they're going to use that to push that they need to be at school so they can learn inside, outside, upside down.
Yes, right. Instead of
Can't
learning.
let that
No, you can't go inside and outside. You can't stand upside down.
Sorry, my 2-year-old knows where outside is. I can tell you. Oh yeah, she wants to be there a lot.
That's great.
Hello.
I think it's awesome that you have the spread in ages in your family. Because how balanced is that? Wonderful for all of your
gosh.
kids, It doesn't feel balanced at all, I know. When we did our kids,
It does
there's a
now.
9-year span. There's a 12-year span with 9 kids. So we had just general craziness. Let's just put it that way.
Wow.
We had 6
Yeah.
teenagers,
6 teenagers at a time.
years.
Yeah. They're still teenagers, even though they're in the
Yeah.
30s.
That's what I'm saying, had?
Yeah,
I know
advocate,
some of
general
them,
case.
Yes, I don't know what you're talking about, had.
Wow. That's how. Yeah.
That's great.
She gave me a hard time when I was pregnant with the last one. That
Mm.
the spread in our family is bigger than the spread in my family with my
Yeah.
sisters.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But it was not my plan. But I
Yeah.
see the wisdom with each one. I've first gone, oh, and then
Yeah.
looking back, I always
Yeah.
so easy to see the wisdom. Hindsight
love
is 20/20.
Yeah.
But
That's
yeah, it seems like it will never
We can
end.
just leave it off then, I think.
And then